passes with his left in front, and Maryland has won it! What a finish as Maryland knocks off #1 UCLA! That was the scene 2 years ago on the Big Ten Network. Tonight, we'll do it again. It was 8,449 for that overtime thriller. Who knows? They could top that mark tonight as we have perhaps the greatest rivalry in men's college soccer. From the West Coast, number 15, UCLA. And from the East Coast, the Maryland Terrapins, as we welcome you to the house that Sasho built and home to the Crew. And we welcome you to the Big Ten Network. Dean Linke, delighted to be with Chris Doran. And Chris, this rivalry is something special.
Well, sure it is. You have two great coaches who have between them 555 wins or so. You've also got two programs who are accustomed to take home trophies at the end of the season. So it's going to be really special a Friday night at Ludwig.
You know it's going to be a wild night for sure, Chris.
A wild, Dean. Yeah, I get that. Gordon Wild, right? He was a Mack Herman Trophy finalist last year. Had 17 goals for Maryland as a sophomore. He had 16 as a freshman at USC Upstate. Watch how he works with the ball and now without. Number 8 with the tracker. Look how far he works into the final third. And now he's got to do a little work with the ball, right? Not a problem for Gordon Wild. And finishing is what he does best. Off his left foot, his favorite, or off his right. He's a winner for Sasho and the Maryland Terrapins.
Sasho Soroski at his 25th year with the handshake there with Jorge Salcedo. A special one to start the soccer season on the Big Ten Network, UCLA and Maryland. Men's soccer on BTN is brought to you by State Farm. Here to help life go right. Beautiful day at College Park, Maryland. The UCLA Bruins from the West Coast, coached by Jorge Salcedo. They lost a lot of players last year to the MLS draft and MLS homegrown, but they just reload as they go with a 4-3-3.
And they've got a terrific front runner in number 9, Santiago Herrera. He's really very strong here on the ball with his back to goal and bringing teammates in to combine with them and get forward. Also look for Eric Holt to be very active defensively in that central midfield slot.
That's the starting lineup for the Bruins. Sasho Soroski, as we said, in his 25th year. He's got a new back line and a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, a new goalkeeper in Dane St. Clair. And we'll talk more about the goalkeepers tonight. Both are sophomores for the squads, but St. Clair has done well in the early going, still trying to get his feet with a couple of new faces in front of him defensively for Maryland. Jake Rosansky, though, and Amar Sadic are still very strong, in particular Rosansky. We talked about how good Wild is with 1 goal. Rosansky's already got a couple of goals and an assist early on in this season.
That's Chase Gasper for Maryland. The transfer, ironically, from UCLA. Played for Jorge Salcedo. And there's Sasho Soroski as well. Salcedo in his 14th season. Of course, won a national championship as a player, won one as an assistant coach. He's been to 3 college cups, played in 2, hasn't got his own national championship as the head coach. But even Sasho Soroski told him it took him 4 before he got his first 2, as he won it in 2005 and 2008. Look at that record at Maryland. Simply incredible what Sasho Soroski has done.
Players come to this program with the expectation that they are going to win championships throughout the course of the season, whether it's a Big Ten Conference Championship, a Big Ten Tournament Championship, which we've seen this group do a couple of times already, right, Dean? So it is the expectation of the program, and he never talks about reloading or rebuilding. He always talks about just next man up. And they've had players chomping at the bit for this opportunity, and they're going to get it tonight against a very big and strong UCLA team.
You talk about the house that Sasho built. Here's the thing. He didn't just build quality teams. He pretty much almost on his own went out and created this environment, the Crew. And it really started after 2002 when UCLA and Maryland played in the semifinals of the College Cup. Next year they played in the regular season. And that year, 2003, because of this rivalry, he got the students involved. They call him the Crew. And it's been incredible ever since.
They have great social media presence, and it has been, I think, a standard bearer for what many of the other college programs are trying to do across the country. Establish a student supporters base so that they've got that dependable fan base in the stands every game at home.
8,449 the last time these two teams met here at College Park. A thriller as Sebastian Elney, the freshman, with the header to win it in overtime, the 96th minute. That's Gordon Wild right there. 17 goals, the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. And just like Maryland, UCLA has a new starting goalkeeper. It's Kevin Silva, who has been a star for the USA U19 and U17 program.
Yeah, he's a strong shot stopper, as we talked yesterday with Coach Salcedo, and very, very positive in terms of how he had those 12 games of experience last year and now comes into this sophomore season without any freshman jitters or any sort of coldness when it comes to coming up with a big game like the one tonight.
All right, we are underway. The Maryland Terrapins in white from head to toe. UCLA in their Bruin blue from head to toe. Maryland coming off what was an amazing season last year, pretty much #1 the entire season, and that heartbreaker in the first round, leading Providence 4-1, losing 5-4 right here on this field. And Sasho Soroski said his team's hungry to put that behind them and get back to Philadelphia, home to this year's College Cup.
Yeah, he told us yesterday that this team is probably one of the more motivated squads he's had in a long time, in particular and specifically because of the way they exited last year's season.
Yeah, you think about it, since 1998, every four-year class for Sasho Soroski has made a College Cup. Now, this class that came in 2014, they've not been there. So there's a little bit of pressure there for the seniors on this team. Sadich, first team all Big Ten last year. What a season he had. 9 goals and 9 assists after a freshman campaign where he had just 2 goals and 2 assists. That will bounce off and away.
That's George Campbell, who's making the overlapping run. Campbell is a converted right back. He came to Maryland as a forward. You and I called one of his first appearances in a Maryland Terrapin uniform. He was playing up front, and he ends up dropping to the midfield last year. This year, starting with the spring, he becomes that right back. And now he's got an opportunity to get forward into the attack, help build in possession, but also balance those defensive responsibilities on the flank.
Yeah, Sasho Soroski saying he's too good not to get on the field. And as we mentioned, the entire back line and goalkeeper either graduating or transferring for Maryland. So they needed a right back, and we'll see what Campbell can do. Of course, Campbell was the boys high school national player of the year from McDonough High School, and now gets a chance finally to start, but it's at right back.
Here's Brian Stray with Iloski coming in and attempting to get around the big defender. Stray did not play in the game against Hofstra on Monday. He started against Santa Clara, did pretty well. They did let in the 2 goals, and coming out of that that game against Santa Clara, Coach Soroski really wanted to work defensively on what the right combinations were in the back. So Donovan Pines got the start against Hofstra. Did a pretty good job there. Still looking for some answers in terms of connectivity and defensive shape in the back for Maryland.
Bruins and Maryland, both these teams play attractive soccer, and doesn't matter what the score is. If it's 1-0, it's not like they're going to bunker. Both these teams will keep on playing. Foul on Maryland. I do want to point out that while those 4 defenders and goalkeeper are gone, Maryland brought back their entire midfield and their front runners.
Yeah, that's one of, I think, and we talked a little bit with Coach about this yesterday, it's one of the saving graces, because that front 6 is so good at possession, Dean, that they can actually alleviate some of the pressure of the new faces defensively while they're still trying to sort things out in the back.
The Bruins will switch it right side. There's Chase Gasper, the former Bruin, on the mark. Gasper obviously very familiar with the UCLA Bruins. Perhaps not Alex Knox, though, as he's a transfer from Wake Forest. So Knox, who played with the Demon Deacons, now starting for UCLA. And, of course, transfers a key part of college soccer.
Yeah, it seems to be happening a lot more often. The last 5 to 7 years, we feel like we've seen a lot more of that. I think part of it has to do with coaches just being honest with players. and simply saying, look, you know, I don't see you fitting in. We've got 3 guys who are probably going to be better than you or ahead of you, and if you're not going to do A, B, and C, or if it's not going to be part of your toolkit, then maybe you need to go someplace where it'll be better suited for you.
You can see the fans still filing in here to Ludwig Field, College Park, Maryland. Perhaps one of the best pregame tailgates for college soccer as well.
I'm going to add one more thing on this transfer point that you made, Dean. I think there's another part of it. It's the growth of the academy programs in America that have started to put a little more pressure on college programs to not necessarily adhere to the expectations of the player and the academy coaches, but certainly to work with the academy coaches. And you know, there may be some players who go in thinking that their academy coach has kind of talked it over with the college coach, and things are going to be copacetic, and it doesn't pan out the way they expected it to. And they feel like they have to go find a program where their expectations as set by the academy environment are going to be met.
Here's Campbell, the right back. 6 minutes in, no score and no real dangerous opportunity for either team. Here's Gordon Wild. He's been bothered a little bit by an injury. Campbell with that good cross, trying to find Elney as they were looking for that Endo-Elney combination that won it 2 years ago.
Matthew Powell does well to get up and win that ball. He's strong in the air for UCLA.
Pushing the other way is a Seydu. Seydu, very active, busy body kind of player. Pushing forward, Eric Holt takes a shot, but not on frame as Dane St. Clair, the redshirt sophomore from Canada wearing number 99, is the new keeper. Cody Niedermayer, who captured the attention of the crew. They loved him back there. Look at the numbers for Niedermayer. We loved him too.
We sure did. I mean, he was great for television, to be honest with you. Cody Niedermayer was a great personality, not only on the field, but on campus as well. The student body, as you mentioned, just loved him. Dane St. Clair steps in to fill in some big shoes, but he's a big boy himself, 6'4", 176. Got great experience with the Canadian National Youth Program. Very, very strong. Reminds me a little bit of Zach Steffen in his athleticism. Not sure that he's going to leave Maryland as quickly as Zach Steffen did a couple of years ago, who, by the way, is doing quite well, having played overseas and now playing in Major League Soccer. But certainly Dane St. Clair has got his work cut out for him, but he looks like he's up to the task.
That's a big-time comparison. I like it. As Zach Steffen, part of a Big Ten tournament championship team. Maryland, welcome to the Big Ten. Welcome to 3 Big Ten tournament championships and 2 regular season titles.
Yeah, you think Tim Lenahan and maybe Damon Rensing are rethinking this invitation that they sent to our show about the Big Ten conference?
Well, it certainly does help the RPI, though, so they like that part of it. But you're right, nobody's been able to beat Maryland in the Big Ten tournament, and they've won 2 of the 3 regular season titles.
Although Tim Lenahan will probably text me and remind me that they actually beat Maryland here a couple of years ago in a game that they had to travel to, and it was a huge victory for the Wildcat program. So certainly there are opportunities, and when those chances come up and you beat any big-time program or any program that's hot, whether they're in your conference or not, you know how that pays you off and pays off your program with the RPI.
Maryland now settling down with Miles Stray. Sadich. Stray will boot it long. Eric Williamson along with Elney, both USA U18 and U20 players. There's Williamson, who really took off in the Big Ten tournament his freshman year at Ohio State, where he scored goals in both the semifinal and the final, and Williamson causing pressure.
Yeah, he does. That's what he does. He does it with his speed, and he's really, really tricky up top. And I think for sure Kevin Silva put himself in a really tough situation. Maybe his defenders let him down a little bit by not winning that ball right away. But that could have been disastrous for UCLA to drop one early.
The UCLA Bruins come in with those 4 national championships. Maryland come in with 3.
You see how Kevin Silva is involved in the buildup. It actually starts with the goalkeeper for UCLA with the ball on the ground.
Williamson got in the way to break that play up. And you see Campbell everywhere right now. He was in the middle of the field.
Yeah, there's a lot of switching that goes on for those guys. Williamson, Elney, DJ Reeves. They all find their way through.
Pressure on Silva, but able to get rid of it. Silva actually from the East Coast, Bethlehem, PA, part of the IMG Academy. So many of these players are.
Again, got to be comfortable with the ball if you're a goalkeeper for UCLA. The ball at your feet, that is.
Sadu called for the foul and didn't like it. Sadich goes down. You mentioned the Academy's effect on UCLA. Let's take a look at this foul first.
This is a clean tackle until the hand goes to the face. Sadu does a really nice job of getting his body between the player and the ball, but when he puts that hand up to the face, that's a whistle all day.
Chris, you think about the transfers, but how about UCLA? Abu Danladi, #1 pick in the MLS draft. He wasn't a senior, left early. Jackson Ewell, 6th pick to San Jose. He left early. 3 homegrowns left. Jose Hernandez, RSL, Reggie Cannon, FC Dallas, Adekoya, Seattle, and then Alan Andoyo is now with the Atlas program, and then Chase Gasper. So that's 8 players that would have been back as they sent in, bouncing around. Top of the 18. Gasper, the former Bruin, takes it with his left foot, and now UCLA going the other way. That's going to be a card. Absolutely. Sadich just taking down the UCLA player. Gasper coming the other way. The referee playing advantage, and a good call. The Bruins cutting back in, and it'll be a corner kick UCLA, and I think we're going to see a card as well. Look at this tackle.
Geez, I watched Indiana, Ohio State last night. I don't know if I've seen better tackles since that. My goodness, the yellow card has come out for sure. I'm not sure what got into Amar Sadich where he felt like he had to kill the counterattack like that.
Usually you see a little jersey pull, and you're right. He just went straight tackle. As off to the races there was a Sadu, who is showing his quality early. Ryan Alaski coming off 2 goals in that win over USF San Francisco. UCLA's only played 1 game so far. Interesting start to the season. But they'll face Georgetown in a couple days after this one. Their first 3 games on the road.
So one of the things UCLA likes to do is they like to keep that ball outside at midfield looking for the space, and then eventually get inside and start to work with tight combination play in an effort to force the defenders centrally to make decisions, maybe overcommit, maybe step too far too soon or too far too late, and work around those defenders in order to break them down.
Throw in for UCLA, DJ Reeves, who scored a couple goals in the Big Ten tournament last year to help Maryland win it, including an early one against John Trask and the Wisconsin Badgers. You see Reeves there a moment ago, #11. You look at Maryland defensively, they're going with a 4-3-3, and you talk about everybody they lost. They also lost Cody Albrecht, who was such a stalwart as the defensive midfielder. And Sasho's saying right now with Sadich and Rosansky not natural holding mids, so they got to do that job together.
Yeah, they do. And that's good, Dean, because Sadich and Rosansky, if you talk to Sasho, they are probably the most cerebral players on the team. So they're thinking through the game. They're thinking through space. They're thinking through staying connected in good, strong shape. Right now getting stretched out by UCLA.
Christian Chavez has not played a ton. The senior at UCLA are earning the start as they try to get it back to Chavez. Played 23 games in 2014, but only 9 games the last 2 years, but he stayed with it. And Jorge Salcedo giving him the start here tonight.
Right now UCLA is doing a really good job of testing the 2 center backs for Maryland. Bergman and Stray have had their hands full. George Campbell is not able to get free and get forward. You have to remember, it's not Alex Cronali back there anymore, right? You've got a couple of sophomores. I know Bergman's got experience, but he's got some communication issues he's working through. English is not his first language. because he comes from Germany. And so Bergman and Strayer making sure that they stay connected and strong back there.
Looked like a foul on UCLA. Referee Tim Sue says no, to go out of bounds. Throw in for Maryland. Looking for Reeves. There's Chavez with Campbell, the right back, coming forward, and we've only had a small sample size, but so far so good for Campbell at right back.
Oh, I like Campbell. I watched the game against Hofstra. I thought that there were some moments where perhaps he probably could have gone a little farther forward and didn't, and then there were situations where I thought maybe he took some risks where he shouldn't have. But he had several games in the spring that were strong. He's had a couple of games already this year that have been strong, and Sasho likes what he's doing back there as that right back. He offers great possibilities in terms of possession. We know he's a good ball handler, and we've already seen even in this game his opportunities for service or great service to the far post.
And there is Campbell trying to make that pass to Reeves. Sadich and Reeves. Looked like it may have popped up and hit Reeves' hand, but you can see right there the referee waving it off. And now St. Clair will boom it long.
I'll tell you, that's another thing that St. Clair's got. St. Clair serves the ball really well off the ground and on the drop kick.
"15 minutes in here. Pace is good, but really neither team with a dangerous opportunity so far, Chris.
No, battle between the 18s for sure, Dean. A lot of talent in there, a lot of experience in between the boxes, and so these players know that this is the kind of battle that's not going to be won in the first 10 or 15 minutes. I do think UCLA's done a really nice job not only of absorbing the Maryland pressure at home Friday nights in front of their home crowd, but UCLA is starting to take the game to Maryland a little bit, and Maryland is going to have to respond.
Here's Rosansky, who won a national championship playing for Virginia against UCLA. That one went to penalty kicks. As Campbell making that run all the way down the right side, and that gets Chris Dorn excited as he sees number 6 inside the 18. Certainly doing the work today up and down that right flank. Rosansky on the field for Virginia, Gasper on the field for UCLA, and now they're both teammates here at Maryland. Of course, Virginia winning that national championship in 2014. And here is Gasper. That's got to be pretty wild, right? For 3 years he's hung out with these athletes for UCLA, and now he's going against them.
Yeah, I mean, you do so much as a student athlete with your teammates, so much more than probably you do with other members of the student body. You can imagine the bonds that come as a result of that. And now you're in a situation where you're playing against one another. But, you know, to be honest with you, Dean, because of the academy schedules and the way players travel so far to be a part of certain programs or certain teams, there's a lot of that goes on many different levels throughout American soccer. And, you know, we are starting to see a lot more of it because of the point you made earlier with the transfer. The commonality of all the transfers.
Silva with a good ball, center of the park. UCLA trying to go the left side this time. You've seen them work the right side quite a bit. There's Campbell able to pick the pocket. Sadich back to Campbell, and that's another weapon. You can play it back to Sadich, and because of his prowess as an attacking player and former high school player of the year, he's going to be able to get you out of danger. As another staple for Maryland has been over the years the fact that Sasso Soroski can put almost an entire team onto the field. Boy, a couple years ago he exactly did that as well, as one of his freshman recruits working his way into the game, as it's Eric Metzelovic. So Metzelovic, who's already got a goal check in. And I think Andrew Samuels may have snuck in as well. We'll confirm that as Gasper for Maryland wins it back at midfield. You know what I'm talking about, though. The Sonny Jane era, as it looks like, yes, Samuels is in there, and he's going to play in the back when Sasho Soroski would play 23 players in one game.
Well, he has to go deep in certain points in the season. In particular, when you look at the schedule for this weekend, they've got a game tonight and then a game on Monday. Same is true for UCLA. In fact, a lot of teams are playing those two-game weekends in the early going of the 2017 season. In fact, they do it every season. So you've got to have players who are accustomed to stepping on the field and doing the job.
Rosansky taken down. So Andrew Samuels did check in. We thought he might go to holding mid, but I think he may have gone back to center back, and we'll see if he's replaced Stray or the German Bergman.
Little more experience you got with Andrew Samuels. He's a junior. He's appeared in almost all of the regular season games since he arrived at College Park. So he knows the system. He knows the program well, knows what the demands are. And not that you need any seniority over Bergman in the back, who's got a lot of maturity in him. But a little leadership from Samuels might go a long way. And here's Campbell getting involved and earning the whistle.
This usually means Gordon Wild time as well, as he can certainly take a great free kick. Good tackle here by Maryland.
That was Matt Selevic involved in the tackle. My mistake.
So instead of Wild, it's going to be Sadic. Mar Sadic. Looping, looking far post. Silva's there, but so is the big man, Elney.
And Kevin Silva looked a little relaxed, the goalkeeper for UCLA, as he went up for this ball, and he paid for it. With the contact in midair. But the whistle only means that the ball went out of bounds, right?
Indeed, right there. I love that shot as well from the end zone shot of the crew. When Elney scored that goal, the brace to the stands right there actually collapsed. Luckily, nobody hurt. It didn't come all the way out, but you're talking about 8,500 people going crazy, right? Most of them behind the goal. And what a scene it was 2 years ago. Great way to start today's show as well, recapping that with Elney with that thriller. Last year, these two teams tied 1-1. UCLA took the opening kick, had like 25 touches without giving the ball up, and scored. And then the big man Cronali scored 3 minutes later, and they went the rest of the game, including 2 overtimes, without a goal as they finished 1-1. And here's Rosansky. 3 goals last year, all 3 game winners for Rosansky. He had an overtime winner at Rutgers. Chris, I talked about those players that went pro early for UCLA. 6 players either going into the draft early or going the homegrown route, and 1 going to Mexico. Jorge Salcedo telling me that according to his PR staff, 85 Bruins have made it to Major League Soccer one time or another, including 56 that have played for him.
That is unbelievable. Though it doesn't surprise me. I think they actually lead college programs in supplying talent to Major League Soccer.
That's a big number.
I
was blown away by that as you saw the baby Bruins there. And they've got to have that youth, right? Because they lose so many players, they've got to reload every year. And I give a credit to Sasho Soroski for being able to hang on to his players, because Elney could have gone pro even after his first year. Williamson, the same thing. Sadich had a great year last year. Gordon Wild for sure. They all came back. Unfinished business for this team.
Absolutely. It's redemption tour 2017, I think, for Maryland. When you talk about just how downtrodden, how disappointed this team was last year when they exited in the first game of the NCAA tournament, which was the second round for Maryland against Providence, I think it's probably indescribable just how awful the feeling was, and empty is the word that Sasha Swarovski uses. So they want to fill the tank back up, and they want to do it right this year.
The Bruins able to pick the pocket, but taken back there again, as that was Brian Olaski. There's Olaski family. There's 3 Olaski brothers on the team. Brian, the redshirt senior, and then his 2 brothers, Eric, is on the team, as well as Milan. And they're not twins. Eric decided to take a gap year so he could come to UCLA at the same time as his younger brother by 1 year. There's Santiago Herrera. Chris Dorn talking about him from Venezuela.
There's the opportunity in the step in defensively. Not real smart there by Elney. On the foul, it's not good defensive form to turn to the side of the player who's about to run past you.
Joab Santoyo, the redshirt junior from Chino Hills, California, getting some instruction from the referee. Eric Holt, number 4, always dangerous on free kick opportunities.
They match up well height-wise, these two teams, but where the advantage is back between the pipes with 6'4" Dane St. Clair.
Sent in by UCLA, far post, and there is St. Clair.
And that's how the big goalkeeper handles the ball, sir, in the air. You've got to be the first to the ball. Arms extended, does a really nice job of securing it and bringing it down to the ground.
Throw in right in front of Jorge Salcedo and the UCLA Bruins. We're seeing a lot of Eric Metzelovic, the freshman, number 15. And there's Samuels. So it's Samuels in for Stray, as Bergman has stayed in there. So we've got that confirmed. As Elney, Metzelovic trying to get a back heel to Elney, read by UCLA. Williamson breaks it up. Now Gasper trying to chase down Poleo. Poleo is in there now. Kike Poleo, the junior from Miami, Florida.
Poleo's coming back from injury. Hailed as a real strong 1v1 player. In fact, what we've been able to glean is that he's probably one of the better 1v1 players for the UCLA Bruins. And a little bit of a ding there for Anderson Asedu.
Well, Chris, more than halfway through this one, the big crowd is there. The energy was palpable before the start, but so far this game has been interesting because, as you said, it's been played between the 8 teams.
Yeah, it has, and I think UCLA deserves a lot of credit for not allowing the crowd to get into this. Also, I think both teams are playing relatively conservatively in terms of the physical style of their play. Both teams like to have the ball at their feet. They love possession. And perhaps there was a little bit of frustration there in about the 20th, 25th minute, where Maryland felt like they were losing a little bit of the possession game and had to kind of claw their way back in. Since then, this game's been relatively equal in terms of touches. But in terms of creativity in the final third, I'm not exact. We haven't really seen much, except for a couple of set pieces. But we haven't seen much in terms of creativity in the final third. I think UCLA's got to find Herrera's feet. Herrera's got to make himself available.
Big jersey tug right there from the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Gordon Wild, as you said as well, Mac Herman Trophy finalist a year ago. Lasky's pass forward. A little bit late there for Blaine Martinez, who's got a goal. Didn't start this one, but knew he was going to come in for Chavez. And just as Jorge Salcedo told us he would, he's checked in here. Throw in UCLA. Ludwig Field, the home to this Friday night game and the next Friday night against the Indiana Hoosiers. Nice job defensively by the German Bergman. What a pickup for Sasso Soroski. Actually said he was on vacation when he got the call that Bergman was available. Kind of blew up his vacation and got over to Germany as quick as he could. And this young man's got 3 years of eligibility at 23 years old.
Yeah, and he's played for some top Bundesliga youth clubs. So he's had great training, very strong, smart player, very mature, which is a huge bonus.
UCLA continues to work that left flank. Drop back middle of the field there to Brian Alaski, trying to find the speedy Asadu. Anderson Asadu, the junior from New Jersey.
And that is a lovely ball, a great penetrating ball, penetrating both lines, the midfield and the defensive line of Maryland. And a nice run by Asadu to get in and behind.
Williamson, who started the game as that number 10, has moved out wide, and Sasso Soroski said he'll move him around. Sometimes you'll even see him up top with either Wild or Elney, depending on the rotations. But he's the kind of player that can play anywhere, so will stay on the field a little longer than the other front runners for Maryland.
Look how comfortable both these teams are in tight spaces with the ball.
UCLA perhaps a little bit of advantage here in possession, and that's the kind of stat that won't make Sasso Soroski all that happy as he analyzes what he's seen here in the first half, knowing Sasso the way we know him. He'll be a little fired up. Zansky taken down again.
You know, here's the other problem with these two players. They've done a lot of the work in the midfield. We haven't talked much about Gordon Wild, have we? And that's a problem for Maryland. It's not that Gordon Wild's the only guy who's going to score goals, but he has got to be attracting some attention and freeing up the other players on the field. And the only way he really attracts attention is if you get the ball to him. Man, Asadu just does not have any qualms with physical contact, does he?
No, he's low to the ground as well. Hard to knock him over, and yet when he hits you, you go down. As you see Rosansky taking that shot from Asadu.
Well, he had 2 strong seasons at Monmouth before he arrived at UCLA. So, you know, this is a player who's been starting since he stepped onto a college campus.
Samuels will drop it all the way back to the goalkeeper, St. Clair. Here comes Gasper. There's Gordon Wild. What a ball to Campbell. Campbell, the right back, looking forward, drop back, trying to find Elney. Still loose, and better work now from the Maryland Terrapins.
Boy, I really like this penetrating ball. First gets forward on the flick, the one touch from Wild, and then the service across. That's terrific stuff from Eric Williamson. I beg your pardon, from George Campbell. And that's Eric Williamson headed to the goal line and earning a corner kick for Maryland.
Beautiful pass, though, from Wild to find Campbell. One touch, bottom of the shoe. And now Sadich. Boy, what a story he is, as Williamson and Elney came in as top 10 prospects. Not too many people knew about this young man who played in Kentucky with Sonny Jane, the former Maryland Terrapin. And Sadich has been impressive. First team All Big Ten a year ago. And on the Big Ten players to watch preseason, turning with that left foot is Wild. Still loose and finally cleared out of there by UCLA. Wild can turn on a dime.
You see what happens. I think in part one of the reasons why we've not called Gordon Wild's name is because he's been marked out of the game a bit. But when he gets loose, when they lose track of him at a set piece like this, look, he's all by himself. He gets an opportunity to get to a free ball.
Campbell. Wild had it for a moment. Great work, Chris Dorn. There you said it. Wasn't one, but two blue jerseys on him. And the Bruins going the other way. Eric Williamson, that's another reason why he doesn't come off the field. He does the defensive work despite being an attacking player. Chase Gasper.
My goodness, that looked easy, didn't it?
Well, he played that role as well for the USA Youth National Team, and certainly comes to Maryland as one of the best left backs in the country. Devastated by injury a year ago, so they're expecting him to get that red shirt year. It's not totally official, but the word is he will get it. Maryland already listed him as a junior, so they're planning on having him a couple years.
One thing I like right now, Dean, in this back line for Maryland is the Andrew Samuels combination alongside Bergman. Samuels is so comfortable with the ball at his feet.
It's Bergman to Wild. The two Germans combining. What a ball from Bergman. Long to find Wild.
Gordon Wild played a little bit in Germany too, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, that was the same kind of story, really, is what Sasho Soroski said. They were hoping to sign pro contracts, had some injuries just at that time where they would sign a pro contract, so he decided to come over to the States. Played 1 year at USC Upstate, where he scored 16 goals. Was the ASUN Player of the Year there as well as a freshman, and then the Big Ten Player of the Year last year, and here he is again. He's already got a goal on the season. UCLA coming the other way. Bounced around. This is dangerous. Back across in front. Coming over just in time was Gasper, the former UCLA Bruin. Popped in the air again. St. Clair has a beat on it. He's going to go ahead and grab it.
Well, Orlowski does a really nice job of keeping an eye on Herrera as he penetrates on a diagonal to the middle. Herrera flares off. That ball outside is deflected, but it still gives Herrera a chance to turn and cross it, or at least get it towards the pipes. And the offside call will bring that back. A little more risk-taking from both teams right now. It's actually kind of attractive. It's almost like it's been a very close and conservative chess match in the early going of this game. And now they're both starting to take some risks as we get closer to the end of the half. But I like the Andrew Samuels thing back there. The combination with Samuels is, and Campbell, too, I wanted to mention. Samuels is so comfortable on the ball. His penetrating pass to the next line is very, very solid. He's comfortable with it, and he seems to be a lot more calm in the back with the ball and without. So this may actually become the combination Sasho Soroski's been looking for in the back line for Maryland.
You're hearing the great breakdown from Indiana Soccer Hall of Famer Chris Doran. Dean Linke, delighted to be with you. 10 full seasons in the books, calling Big Ten soccer with you, Chris.
Happy
Great
anniversary, Dino.
Yeah, indeed. As the Big Ten Network celebrating 10 fantastic years. If you remember in 2007, the day after App State beat Michigan, it was UCLA and Indiana on that Sunday in front of a record crowd. UCLA, they come into Big Ten country and they set records.
They do. It was a phenomenal afternoon of soccer.
There's the goal right there. That actually came after they won the 2008 National Championship in Frisco, Texas. That goal is from Texas, was shipped to College Park after they won that game against North Carolina. And in the other corner, they have the goal when they won it in 2005 from Wake Met Soccer Park in Cary. as Sasho Soroski paid the freight to have those goals there, the actual goals after they won it.
What's hilarious is that anyone who's ever won a championship knows that you get to cut a net if there's one available. Of course, not real. Sasha takes the whole goal. He takes the goal. He'll take most of the penalty box with him if he can and put it in his backyard.
It's one of the great things when you come to Ludwig Field, and we keep talking about the house that Sasho built. I mean, here's the deal. This is on a track, so they bring in these stands and create this ridiculous environment, perhaps the best for college soccer in the country. UC Santa Barbara, Akron, pretty good, but the overall right on top of you, this environment, I think, the best in the country. And it's kind of manufactured, which means Sasho, with his starting 11, he's got this great corporate fundraisers. They're going to build a stadium before he leaves there. He's been there 25 years. He may go 25 more, so they get a stadium.
I would not doubt that. He's got a lot of good connections. Of course, a lot of people in Maryland and in the area on the East Coast that are Maryland Terrapin grads, and they are more than willing to help support, both from their private accounts as well as their corporate accounts.
Maryland trying to get something going here offensively. And boy, Chris, when you said 18-18, you weren't kidding. Each team will go about 30-40 yards, and this pass right here has gone wanting, and there it goes again.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what happened there. The breakdown comes in the communication. Velosky is struggling just a little bit to get a few more of those connecting passes when he should be probably hitting a few more of them.
Bruins. Jorge Salcedo saying he likes to attack teams right down the middle of the park. A lot of teams try to push it wide, but the Bruins have made a living of breaking teams down in the middle and running straight at that back line. There's Donovan Pines. We're seeing a unconventional rotation here in the back, as that'll be the second change at center back now, as Pines will come in. That'll mean Samuels will push forward. So Stray started, then Samuels went to right center back, and now you got Pines all in the first half.
Well, this explains a little bit why, Samuels looks so comfortable with the ball in the back. He's the kind of player who is interchangeable in that defensive midfielder role, sits in that pocket very well, extremely athletic and attentive too. He's also got help with Rosansky in there as well, so that'll be important.
And here is Samuels, right on point, Chris Doran. Top of the 18, Samuels trying to drop it back, still loose, deflected, and off the side there is the freshman for Maryland, number 15, Eric Metzelovic.
Samuels does a really nice job of picking his head up, finds Metzelovic, who lays it off again and makes that looping run in hopes of finding space on the far side, and not able to finish. UCLA, last minute, get that foot in there, finish out this half 0-0 and see what adjustments you have to make for the second 45.
The Crew starting to make some noise here. Looking for something to get excited about, and that play right there led by Andrew Samuels, just as you were talking about. Yeah, Sasho Soroski said Samuels' best position is that holding mid spot, but you'll also see him at left back, right back, both center backs. As it looks like Sasha Soroski continues to go deep to his bench. Emmanuel Curva has checked in. The redshirt senior, shot from distance by Rosansky, but over the crossbar.
Rosansky does a nice job of breaking and finding space on the dribble from the midfield. He's working his way without any pressure. No one steps to him, and he gets the opportunity to lock and load the left foot. UCLA has to do a better job, cannot allow Rosansky to get free like that.
Rosansky, 2014 All-ACC freshman team, 2015 second team All-ACC, and then fantastic year a year ago, 3 goals and 8 assists for the Maryland Terrapins. I mentioned those 3 game-winning goals. Who could forget that game winner against Rutgers when it looked like Rutgers had won it in the final seconds, but they waved that one off, and then Rosansky with the winner. Tough year for Danny Donegan.
Yeah, that was tough. How about that game last year that Michigan finished up the regular season against Maryland? Maryland went up to Michigan, and they didn't have a few of their starters because of food poisoning. So Maryland puts in a bunch of new players, and they go down, they go down 2-0? And we're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be unbelievable if Michigan pulls this off and gives Maryland the only loss of the regular season.
They came back and
they
won it.
They came back and won it.
Yeah, that was a thriller for Maryland. Elney was out because of food poisoning. Williamson was out because of food poisoning, and it was the defenders that ended up scoring late for Maryland to win that one. Williamson tried to touch it over, and it'll come all the way back.
Credit UCLA there. Maryland not able to come up with anything creatively in that final third. They've driven in a couple of great balls that have been dangerous, certainly have tested the keeper and tested the back line, both on restarts and from the run of play. But for the most part, other than what we just saw from Rosansky, dribbling from midfield, not a lot in terms of opportunity. And, you know, you have to credit UCLA with the way they're sticking to their defensive assignments.
Here comes Maryland. Good transition, one bounce and not there. I asked Sasho Soroski for his keys to beating UCLA, and he said transition's going to be important and try to avoid UCLA getting any free kick opportunities, which they had earlier, if you remember, tried to send it to the far post, and St. Clair was there. The funny thing about his keys is I went back to the notes from that thriller 2 years ago, and guess what they were?
Same thing, huh?
Same thing. But he knows UCLA so good on the transition as well. And of course, they've always been good at set pieces. No score here with just a little over a minute in the first half. The Bruins putting some passes together. We did learn that Asadu did get a yellow card finally, so he's in the books, if you were wondering. Foul on UCLA. Samuels goes down.
Ryan Olowski does a really nice job. Number 10 for UCLA, dribbling into the central part of the defensive third and really causing a problem, forcing midfielders to track back and leaving the central defenders wondering, should I step or should I not? In that moment of indecision, he needs runners around the outside or penetrating or preparing to penetrate behind so that he can lay that ball off, and he hasn't been able to do it a couple of times.
And the final seconds winding down. Boy, this game highly anticipated. We thought maybe there might be 9 goals, nothing close to it, really. Nary a great shot on goal so far.
Yeah, you know, the goalkeepers have done well. They haven't been tested all that much. Mostly it's been a battle in the midfield between teams that really love to hold the ball, and they essentially use the roles on the field the same way. So who can impose their will a little bit stronger in the second half will answer the question, who wins this match?
Sasho Soroski will impose his will at halftime. You can bet that, and we'll see how Maryland adjusts. Through 45, though, and perhaps the greatest rivalry in men's college soccer, Maryland and UCLA scoreless in Sasho Soroski's 25th year. Physical game, but no great scoring opportunities. Good stuff coming up here at halftime. Stay with us on the Big Ten Network. Tomorrow, BTN, FS1, and Fox Sports deliver a full slate of football as Iowa takes on the Wyoming Cowboys. Plus, in primetime, catch Jeff Brown's Purdue Boilermakers debut against number 16 Louisville. It's all tomorrow on BTN, FS1, and Fox. We also are pleased to tell you that you can help the people affected by Hurricane Harvey by visiting redcross.org or texting the word Harvey to 90999. By doing that, you make a $10 donation Your donation enables the Red Cross to prepare for, respond to, and help people recover from this disaster. And I'll tell you what, this one hits home with our Fox family. Is everything that gets sent out with Fox, including the Big Ten Network, the Woodlands, Texas. Clint and his crew are there right now, and tough time as we send our best to all of those folks.
We understand there are some members of the Fox family who are actually sleeping at work, not only to keep us on the air, but because they have no place else to go at this point. And we send our prayers and respects to everyone affected by the hurricane and the rainstorms that have come from all of that. There's been some talk this week about what charities to give to and what charities are safe. The American Red Cross came out late this week and said 91% of every dollar that's donated is going to go to the victims and relief in the Houston and South Texas area. So you can rest assured that your donation will go where it needs to go. Our thanks to the Red Cross, and our thanks especially to Clint and all the guys and gals down at Woodland who file and funnel every bit of video and audio that you see on all of the Fox networks, as Dean said, including the Big Ten Network, through the Woodland area.
The UCLA Bruins out and ready. As you see, Amar Sejdic, he got booked with that yellow card as we showed you that physical play. Gordon Wild went the distance. And here's the deal, he's been bothered by a little bit of a tweak, so I think it's one of those situations where, because of that, Sasho Soroski doesn't want to bring him out, have it tighten up, and then try to get him back in there. So he has gone the distance. And, oh yeah, by the way, he's a pretty special player, too.
You don't suppose that tweak is dressed in the UCLA Bruin jersey tonight? Because I'm telling you, he has been double teamed in so many situations. It's what happens when you bring a special player to the match, right, Dean? They're going to watch out for him. And well so said. Wild has been limited in his touches as a result.
This will come back here. UCLA, as Chris Doran told you, they use their goalkeeper as a sweeper keeper, gets involved in the offense. And one thing we're seeing already, the pressure here from Maryland to start the second half. We knew that Sasho Soroski, 25 years of brilliance, was going to make some changes, and this high pressure early on is paying off, including Gordon Wild, who was chasing down that back line. UCLA, though, on the transition, one of those keys that Sasho said you got to keep an eye on. Seydu with Williamson coming over.
Yeah, so Rosansky is higher, Williamson is there. Samuels is going to settle in the midfield for this second half. And that makes all sorts of sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's now Bergman and Pines sitting at center back. There's Sejdic picking it off in midfield. Rosansky will drop it back. And there's Samuels, who Chris Doran had high praise for. Pines with that 6'4", 6'5" height reminds you of the big man Cronale, who's also getting it done at the Major League Soccer level.
Well, he was, it didn't take him long in training to make his presence known. Got a few starts, had some pretty outstanding performances for a rookie defensively as Columbus Crew SC looked to sort out what they were doing in the back line personnel-wise.
Williamson sorting out Gordon Wild. Elney's in the 18. Wild looks up, sees Elney, still dancing with it. Back to that unbelievable left foot. Coming in support behind him was Gasper, and Elney a little bit exasperated. He wanted that pass earlier, and as it is, good job defensively by UCLA to shut the door. I thought Elney was open.
Yeah, an opportunity there, but Gordon Wild got shut down so quickly, as you said, Dean. Santoyo can't chase this ball down. UCLA's got to do a little better job of coming out of the back with the ball on the ground. And in the same vein, you have to credit Maryland. Maryland knows that if they pin UCLA down in their half of the field and win possession on an error, you got a shorter route to goal. Donovan Pines had a lot of playing time last year, Dean. He He really deserves the opportunity in the back line here. As a sophomore, he's got a great toolkit, and I think the developing chemistry with Johannes Bergman actually will suit him just fine. The more I think about it, though, Samuels spent a handful of minutes in the back line for Maryland in the first half. You probably can't afford to have a guy like Samuels playing on the back line.
Sadich. Gasper pushing forward. Now they'll drop it back to Bergman. Bergman, pretty good left foot as well. DJ Reeves has stayed on the bench. That'll be an explosive player that could perhaps open up the game if it stays tight here.
Elney signaled offside. Opportunity for UCLA to build out of the back, which is what they like to do. Keeping possession of it over the midfield line is critical.
Here come the Bruins. Gasper tried to stay with Santoyo. Santoyo, the redshirt junior. Hard tackle by Santoyo. They'll play advantage, though, as Rosansky finds it. Now Elney, overlapping run coming from Campbell. Pines. Maryland now keeping it on the carpet, trying to build it out of the back. Rosansky turning. Ball forward, Wild. Trying to go shoulder to shoulder. Williamson back to Wild. Wild can turn back again. Thought he could have shot it early. Stays with it. Down near the end line and loose. Boy, I thought Wild was going to crank it. He had an opening.
I don't think that ball was landing exactly where he wanted it to go, and he could sense where the defender was. The defender would likely deflect it if he let a shot off. It was on his favorite foot, but we oftentimes don't see him shoot from that side of the goal off his left foot. He's typically doing that on the right post as the near post. But he had worked his way to the left post as the near post, and that's not often a place where we see Gordon Wild finish with his left foot. But a couple of times in the early going here where Gordon Wild has gotten deep into the attacking third in possession, he's been smothered defensively, but if, you know, he gets loose once more and he finds the connecting pass, that's going to spell trouble for UCLA.
So the Bruins work out of the back. Brandon Tervega, number 5. Here's Samuels. Campbell playing it forward. Unlucky. Gordon Wild, dangerous.
Yeah, it does a really nice job of pushing through the traffic. Gets a little bit of help there. Williamson lays the ball off. You thought he'd shoot there. He didn't. Tried to go 1v1 and beat the defender, and it didn't pan out.
I really do feel like, knowing Gordon Wild the way we saw him play last year, 8 times out of 10, he's going to take that shot right there. Campbell pushing it forward to Rosansky. Rosansky's been more out on the right side here in the second half, as you knew Maryland was going to make some adjustments, and they've done it. Elney in support. Now back to Campbell. Sadich was calling for it. Campbell dribbles right into trouble, and UCLA and their transition game will get going. Nice job by Maryland, though, to get white jerseys behind the ball quickly.
Yeah, Samuel saw that Campbell was going forward, so Samuel stayed put, knowing that he'd have to cover in transition.
UCLA stays with it. Cutting back with it is Brian Olaski. Sadich comes in hard. He's got to be careful. He's got that yellow already. That's twice he went to the ground. Both times gets the ball. Look at St. Clair. Boy, you just don't see goalkeepers that often go ahead and just catch that shot. Keep in mind, St. Clair, a big-time volleyball player as well. And He just gobbled it in.
Eric Holt doesn't take long to lock and load on this one. Ball laid back. He sets it up for himself and lets a right footer rip. He's a junior with 40 appearances for UCLA. Eric Holt very calm over the ball in that situation. Love the way St. Clair pulled it down off the crossbar.
Gasper first time. It's loose. What a pass from Rosansky at the UCLA Bruin defender. Those steps in. Sadie's with a shot. And that'll come right to UCLA and Kevin Silva. We talked about Sasho Soroski celebrating 25 years as the top man. How about the UCLA men's soccer program entering its 50th season with an all-time record of 759, 202, and 106. 44 years they made the NCAA tournament. Jorge Salcedo, 14 years as the top man, and they've been in the tournament every year.
When he was talking about the circle of UCLA soccer and his opportunity as an undergrad, and Ziggy Schmidt winning the national championship as the head coach, and then Tom Fitzgerald at UCLA, and the fact that Salcedo, of course, played for Columbus Crew SC in a term in Major League Soccer. There were so many great names in that bit of history that Jorge shared with us.
UCLA trying to get it into the 18. Maryland's defense, a new one, has looked good, including this man, St. Clair. Yeah, Jorge Salcedo was a ball boy when they won it, the championship in '85 up in Seattle against American. Then he hit the game-winning penalty kick in the '90 championship against Alexi Lawless, Steve Ramo, and Rutgers. He was assistant with Tom Fitzgerald on that 2002 championship team, which, by the way, beat Maryland in the semis in Dallas, Texas. Sasho actually got a red card in that game, and we talked about that fire around this rivalry. That's what triggered the creation of the Crew that lost to UCLA in the semis in Dallas in 2002. Here comes Sadic. Sadic, little move, back across, looked like a handball. Sadic calling for it. He's gonna get it. Penalty kick. Maryland.
I don't know.
Is he going to give a card for that? It is going to be a card. Sadic does a wonderful job in that first move, cutting in and finding room around Joab.
It was Matthew Powell who went sliding in there, and Jorge Salcedo may have this right. His arms were flying. You're seeing Eric Holt, who's one of the leaders as well, but I'm pretty sure it was Powell who comes sliding in. And here's the thing, though, if his arms take up more room, watch 28 sliding in here. Oh, I don't know.
The trailing arm.
If it makes your body wider, they'll call it, and perhaps it did. Gordon Wild now from the penalty spot, with the Crew standing behind Silva. And Maryland trying to take a 1-0 lead after the handball called against Powell. Wild set with his left, hammers it, and it's 1-0 Maryland. Wild gives the Terps the lead.
Dean, I don't think there's any question that that's a foul, and there is no question about how Gordon Wild has confidence over the ball from 12 yards out. Silva has no chance. I think even if he chooses the right corner in that situation to stop that ball. With authority, Gordon Wild puts Maryland up 1.
So Gordon Wild coming off that amazing 17-goal, 5 assists, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year and Mac Hermann Trophy finalist campaign, gets his second goal of the early season for the Maryland Terrapins, and they're on top of UCLA by a score of 1-0. You saw Joab Santoyo get beat, and then Matthew Powell in support came sliding in, had that arm dangling, and as you said, Chris Doran, that's the reason why the referee pointed to the penalty spot.
Yeah, my only question was whether or not a card was going to be given, and I think absolutely no reason for it.
Sadich, that's an interesting point, as well as the Big Ten Conference adapting a lot of the FIFA rules now relating to those kind of plays right there, where it's up to the referee to decide that on top of a penalty kick whether a card is warranted.
Yeah, it's the NCAA just keeping pace with what FIFA's doing, and of course when it comes to the international game, there are college coaches who would love to see the NCAA expand to a longer season, and Sasho Surowski is one of those coaches. He's got plenty of colleagues who are in the same boat as he is. They'd like to see this season stretched out over 9 or 10 months.
Gasper, Maryland now feeling it after that penalty kick. Gasper tried to score one against his old team, not on frame. Yeah, certainly Sasho Surowski is one of many, but I think most of those coaches will say he's leading the charge, and they'll also say Sasho usually gets done what he sets his mind to. This one may be taking a little bit more time than he wants it to, but there's a lot of moving pieces when you're trying to sort all that out. Stadiums, how it interacts with the current spring sports schedule. But if anybody can make it happen, it's Sasho and his crew. And now the women's side with Anson Dorrance coming out and Soccer America also getting behind it. And here's the thing, D2, D3 also saying they want to do it, so that will help. Here's Wild. Wild. The penalty kick goals giving Maryland the lead. Drop back over to Rosansky. Nifty little move. Gasper calling for it. Gasper first time could not get any juice on it at all. And it'll go right to Silva.
Just in the last 13 minutes, we've seen a lot more from Maryland in the attacking third than probably what we'd seen for the most part in the first half. Little tweaking in the lineup change and the approach. Good coaching in the locker room and an opportunity for Maryland to play a little more of their game in the attacking half of the field and find some shots.
UCLA, plenty of time here.
Yeah, and that one goal now being down gives the Bruins a little bit of not only inspiration, but maybe lights a fire a bit too. Maybe we start to see more from them. They take a few more risks.
Boy, Maryland's looked really clean here, though, in the second half. Chris Dorn, Sadich stepped in. Rosansky has been good. Wild showing some flair. Gasper pushing forward. It's a different Maryland team here in the second half for sure. Jorge Salcedo looks like he's going to make a couple changes. Down a goal is coming into the game. Alex Knox, the transfer from Wake Forest, and also coming in Milan Alaski, the third Alaski, the freshman from Escondido, California. So now all three Alaskis have been on the field. Brian, the redshirt senior, Eric, and now Milan.
Milan is, as a freshman, still has a lot of international experience. He competed for the 18s and the 19s and with the RSL Academy. As a youngster, has tremendous experience.
Sadich and Rosansky looking for Wild. Knocked out of bounds to be a throw-in for Maryland. And that Sadich-Rosansky combination, they're starting to spread out a little bit more, and it's working.
Yeah, not necessarily headed down the middle, Maryland is. They are content to continue to feed that ball out wide and see what opportunities they can get. And Gordon Wild is making himself available.
Throw in to Rosansky. Looked like he almost had a handball. Here's Gasper.
That's a good decision by Donovan Pines. He's got to step 10 yards beyond the midfield line, and he has to challenge for that ball in the air, knowing that if he loses it, he's got to track back, but he doesn't. He commits himself to it, does a great job of winning that ball, and then gets forward.
Can't find a seat here. Nice shot of the far side from our Big Ten Network crew. Really a perfect night for soccer. Crisp, cool night. Perfect for these athletes.
Good pressure from Miloski. I like this UCLA Bruins squad getting forward a little bit, putting the back line under some pressure.
Elney into space to Rosansky with Wild bending over. Good idea. Rosansky goes down hard. It'll be a free kick and could be a card coming as well. Pushing and shoving there. Thought maybe Eric Olaski was going to get a card, but doesn't look like he did as Rosansky's down.
This is just a good hard tackle. Olaski getting in there, but he gets there late for sure. He does get a clip on the ball, so it certainly doesn't make it look like he's going for the player.
So here's Sadich over the ball. Pines will come forward with that 6'4" frame. They went near post, though, trying to find either Rosansky or Wild. And now UCLA. Campbell tried to slow it down. The Bruins staying with it. Andrew Samuels comes all the way back. A little bit of a shove. And now pressure on St. Clair. Bruins will bring it all the way back to Matthew Powell. It was Powell who was whistled for the handball that led to the penalty kick. Williamson. Now Wild. Wow, we mentioned Sasho Soroski saying he had a little bit of a tweak. Didn't tell us exactly what the injury was, but perhaps not that same level of explosion right now.
Well, the other thing that's working against Wild is that Brandon Tervega, who's 6'3", he's got some size against Gordon Wild, is actually playing Wild more physically, which is not the way Wild likes to play. Wild is a much cleaner player, prefers to find the space with the short touches, get the ball, give the ball up, get his teammates involved. And with Tervega's physical presence in the back, Wild has not had the kind of freedom of movement that he's accustomed to.
So we thought DJ Reeves would come in here about halfway through the second half. The speedster Reeves, who was a pretty good high school football player. We talked about that a little bit last year. Talk about athletes. St. Clair, by the way, is a phenomenal volleyball player. And Chris, if you've never seen men's volleyball, I mean, those athletes, they're freaks. It's unbelievable what they can do.
Great athletes the volleyball players are. I think it's mandatory that if you're a goalkeeper for Maryland, you have extracurricular activities that keep people more interested in you. Last year with our favorite goalkeeper in the Big Ten, it was all about being able to lip sync better than anyone else on campus.
Talking about Cody Niedermayer. Lozansky trying to earn the foul. They'll say no. By the way, Reeves replaced Eric Williamson, who finally gets a break, and a well-deserved one at that. So now UCLA down a goal, trying to push forward. Throw in for the Bruins.
Maryland's getting to the ball better right now, Dean.
They are. Those second balls they're flying for. That was Reeves there that time, hoping to break open the attack.
Good work absorbing the pressure on the part of the Maryland defense. They have not been able to find the middle the way Jorge Salcedo told us they would. And Maryland wins it back.
Samuels. Sasho Soroski looking to make yet another sub here with this 1-0 lead. Trying to bring that freshman back on, Eric Medzelovic. Here comes UCLA, Alex Knox. Knox dropped in across. It'll go off of Pines and corner kick UCLA.
Santoyo does a really nice job of staying alongside in that run and keeping himself available in the event of a ball dropped off. Knox finally lays it off, and that cross ball knocked off by Donovan Pine. Watching Herrera, good work by Campbell.
Ball driven in, headed away by, looks like Elney, so UCLA will have another corner kick. Corner kick UCLA. Driven far side by Olaski. Still loose in front. Off the crossbar. Unlucky for UCLA. Back again and in the back of the net. Eric Holt has tied it at 1.
Well, this is just all about second chances, maybe third chances. Ball dropped back in. First opportunity can't be finished. Holt does a great job on the volley of letting that ball through. All those bodies from Maryland could not stop that shot. Good work by Holt not to think about it, just let it go. And disappointing for Maryland as they allowed for a couple of chances on a set piece and weren't able to clear it out.
So Eric Holt, the captain, junior from San Diego, member of the USA U14 and U17 programs. Honorable mention Pac-12 a year ago. His first career goal for the UCLA Bruins. And it comes at a great time here to tie it in College Park right after it looked like Maryland was starting to take the game. Here's Reeves. Reeves hoping to earn a corner kick. And he has it ripped away from him, takes it right back. Reeves across, open. Finding the head there of the freshman, Medzelovic. UCLA staying with it, though. Looked like they're going to be a bit unlucky. The 12th man, that crossbar. But then the rebound, and UCLA able to pound it home with the captain, Eric Holt.
Donovan Pines called for the foul. Slows the counterattack. Got to be careful in the open field like that. And there's a card out of the pocket.
See where he took a long walk for that card. Was it Pines he went to? You saw Gasper over there. Well, he's a big man, Donovan Pines. Free kick.
Open field counterattack. Here comes UCLA, and Pine steps right in, prevents the progress of the player. I know he's making the argument he got the ball. He may have touched it. Doesn't matter. Can't take a player out like that. And then he correctly walked as far away from the referee as he could.
Sent in by UCLA. Another dangerous one. It was Holt again, and it looked like St. Clair was a little slow to get down, but in front of St. Clair, it was a Maryland Terrapin able to knock it away.
Yeah, Pines redeemed himself in that situation. So he gets the yellow card for the foul and then does a nice job of bailing out his goalkeeper, St. Clair, on the shot.
Jorge Salcedo, pretty much his entire life, has been affiliated with the UCLA Bruins. His brother played there. His dad was attached to it. His dad was a bigwig with FIFA for a long time, Hugo Salcedo. And talking about the good days of FIFA, by the way. So he's one of the good guys. As
hopefully we're headed back to those days.
I think we are. A foul there again on Maryland. A little frustration here for the Terps, as earning that foul was Santiago Herrera. I've not said his name a ton. He's from Venezuela. Over the ball here, Brian Alaski. Keep an eye again on Eric Holt. Sent in by Alaski. Sadic. Solid response from UCLA. Maryland got the goal on the penalty kick. Felt like they were controlling the run of play, and the Bruins get that second corner kick, back-to-back corner kicks, and they score. Remember, Sasso Soroski said one of his keys were set pieces for UCLA.
Well, it always has to be, and in that situation, it was just too many opportunities to touch the ball by the blue shirts in the box once it dropped.
Long throw in for Chase Gasper. Looking for Medzelovic. Maybe another throw in, and Gasper will come to about 18 yards out and take the throw in. See what he's got. One bounce in front, still loose. Reeves, looked like a handball from Sadic. They'll let him play. Sadic takes the shot. Deflected off the back of the leg of Eric Alaski, as all three Alaskis are on the field. Sadu, here's Milan Alaski, along with Eric and Brian. How about those proud parents? The Alaskis loving life.
Sure makes recruiting easy for that guy, doesn't it? Hey,
Yeah, Jorge,
just go home and talk to your brother.
Yeah, exactly. He said that their mom and dad are fantastic people as well. Told us that earlier today, as Eric Williamson back in with the score tied at 1. Medzelovic. Powell, pressure from Williamson. Good move by Silva.
Real calm over the ball. Kevin Silva does a nice job.
Quick throw in, Rosansky to Williamson. Medzelovic, one bounce, volley, score! Maryland up 2-1.
I tell you, that is a world-class finish and a polished celebration as well. Great ball in. Williamson had just re-entered the match. Metselevic doesn't even wait, takes the volley and puts it away.
And another fantastic crowd here that waiting for the final tally, but we think it's a top 5 number, celebrating with the freshman. That's why you go to Maryland right there, so you can celebrate with the crew after a big goal. And the freshman Metselevic with his 2nd goal of the season. But perhaps the key there, though, is Sasho Soroski giving Eric Williamson a rest. UCLA ties it. They bring him back on, and number 19 gets the assist.
Makes a great run, and he baits the defender as well and leaves Metselevic out front. Not necessarily alone, but certainly with enough space here. We're going to
Maryland player down is Samuels. See the training staff working on his head. Oof, head to head, Chris.
We've been talking about it all game, how Anderson Asadu does not back down from a battle. And this one in the air with 2 or 3 guys going for one ball. Samuels in full sprint forward.
2 years ago, the all-time record for attendance for UCLA, 8,449. Guess what, folks? We're close. A top 4 number. That's right, the 4th largest crowd you're seeing right here on the Big Ten Network. The number 7,532. So now UCLA is featured in 2 of the top 4 attendance. Duke actually has the other 2 on games that were on the Fox Soccer channel. So when Fox comes out in any way, again, the number 7,532, the 4th largest crowd.
I hope they check the restrooms, because there may be some people out there we haven't counted. But if that's the case, still great for the fans to celebrate being a part of history in a top 4 way.
The crew, you know, a lot of those people as well were getting some ice cream. Ooh, we got some major blood there for Samuels. Sasho Soroski talking to Samuels. Sasho would not be against stitching him up right there on the field himself to keep him in there. Safety first, though, with that shot to the head. That's a lot of blood, as you can see, working his way down his neck.
And he's actually headed even away from the bench.
All right, so Maryland's going to bring in Ben DeRosa, a freshman from Washington, D.C., Bethesda Academy. He and his brother Matt DeRosa on the team. And boy, Samuels didn't start the game, but he certainly made an impact immediately, first at right center back and then at holding mid.
Yep, and he started the second half in that slot and a little bit higher up the field, as a matter of fact, and it was tremendous for Maryland. It really gave them the presence, the speed in the middle that they needed. They were actually able to work the ball to the outside a little bit more, which played out of UCLA's comfort zone. And I think opened the game up a little bit.
So certainly hoping for the best for Andrew Samuels. We don't want to speculate, but that kind of blood looks like stitches may be coming.
Well, we can't ignore the name Taylor Twellman when we're doing a Maryland game. He was a star here at Maryland, and he, as a result of his professional career and the way it ended, has become an outspoken proponent of concussion protocol at all levels, not just at the professional level, but at the collegiate level. And credit to Taylor and all the other people who have lent their voice to that. Encouraging athletes not to pretend that everything's okay, encouraging doctors to say, hey, you got to treat this with care. We're not talking about a soccer career, we're talking health. And so beyond the stitches in the blood, the concussion protocol goes into full effect, no doubt.
Taylor Twellman, one of several fantastic players at Maryland. Graham Zusi, I think, may be starting tonight for the USA against Costa Rica, as it's Milan Alaski with the yellow card. And Jorge Salcedo going to make a change here. Blaine Martinez, the redshirt sophomore from Dana Point, California. As right now, I understand it's Costa Rica leading the United States by a score of 2-0. Wow. That's going to make it tough. Push forward here. All the way to St. Clair. You see the game summary there. Wild with the penalty kick to make it 1-0. UCLA answering behind their captain Eric Holt. And then it was another Eric, the freshman Eric Metzelovic, for Maryland to make it 2-1. Williamson had the assist. He's on it now. Metzelovic is open again. Metzelovic stepped in the way of Rosansky, who was ready to crank it. As Williamson is dealing right now.
Metzelovic has done a very, very nice job of finding some of the gaps as the UCLA defense starts to drop and absorb the pressure Maryland is bringing in the second half. Metzelovic is kept very much aware of spots where he can work. Looked like he had double-stepped as that ball had arrived. And as you said, at the same time standing in the way of one of his teammates who was probably better prepared to take that shot.
Johannes Bergman, a major pickup for Sasso Soroski after pretty much losing his entire back line. Chris Oduyansem, Sulidenka, Cronali, Diego Silva, all gone. Bergman coming forward there, earning the whistle. Taken away, though, by UCLA. 14 minutes, around 15 seconds remaining here in this one. Too strong, and St. Clair comes out, and he'll pick it up. Seven national championships between these two teams. There'll be more national championships coming to town next week, though, when Todd Yeagley and the Indiana Hoosiers will be at Ludwig Field on a Friday night. That could also challenge that number of 8,449.
Could be really special. Indiana hosting their own tournament this weekend.
Williamson on the ground.
They've got San Francisco tonight, and then play on the weekend. Next Friday, who knows, depending on the result of this game and the result of the other weekend matches for Indiana and Maryland, we could have a couple of top 5 teams playing.
Well, Sasho Soroski, keep in mind, from the Midwest. His brother starred, by the way, at Michigan State. And Sasho Soroski said he's always had a great deal of respect for the Godfather and Jerry Yeagley and how they approached every season, every practice. Another shot here for Maryland. And he talks about how he brought that mentality, a little bit of Indiana mentality, to College Park.
Well, and then the club scene started to grow, especially on the East Coast. And when you take a look at the recruits that Sasho's able to bring in, I mean, it's got to be a battle with all the academies along the eastern seaboard when Sasho shows up at your door.
Sadu not on frame, it'll go out of bounds. So Indiana next week, as you wonder who's going to try to chase down Maryland, who have just been incredible since entering the Big Ten. Damon Rensing has had a couple Elite Eights in the last few years. I think a coach that doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing. John Trask brought back a ton of great players from last year for Wisconsin. Those are probably the 4 favorites to win the Big Ten. I think Michigan could be a little better this year with some youngsters.
Got a lot of those players receiving early season accolades. Grant Lillard on the same list that Gordon Wild's on when it comes to the Mac Hermann Trophy watch list. He's the center back, the big center back for Indiana. Part of the squad expecting to come here and rough up the Terrapins next Friday.
That's going to be a good one here in the second half. This one has turned into a good one. I don't think they're wishing each other happy birthday at the moment.
One Big Ten game that finished up early tonight, Northwestern and Colgate. Colgate wins 2-0. It's the battle of the GPAs between those two schools. The battle of the ACT scores is what it is.
Indeed. Tim Lenahan, also the job he's done at Northwestern. He's been there a long time now. Sent in by UCLA as they try to tie it. Climbing the ladder was the big man. Pine still loose and over the crossbar. And now a late whistle. Sage is involved.
This is why you need Donovan Pines in the back line. That's the ball he wins. Fantastic work by the sophomore center back.
So it looks like after the shot from Sadu, Sadic came in hard, and I think they're going to give him a free kick right there at the top of the 18. And indeed, if it's Sadic, he's got to be careful. He's got that one yellow card.
Left side of your screen. Oh, it's a big stretch too. Sadic comes in hard. The Sadu goes down. You're right, Dean. Whistle blown. No card given. Free kick. Olaski. Brian Olaski, the eldest, will stand over the ball. He's the restart specialist. Favors his left foot. And this is definitely within his range. Far post look, if he can get it around that wall.
Sadic might be a little lucky there. If you're going to blow that whistle after he takes that shot, he could have easily been given a yellow card. I think even Sasho Soroski may agree with that, but
it's a good point, Dean.
There'll be a free kick opportunity here now. With the young man, St. Clair, looking on. Chris Dorn already told you it's Brian Olaski over the ball. 5-man wall in front of him. He's going to shoot it, and he's going to score. Two. Brian Olaski with the free kick, and a brilliant one.
Well, we knew left foot, but I chose far post each.
Celebration indeed, as Olaski now 3 goals on the season. He got 2 in that first game when they scored 5 against San Francisco, the team that's playing the Indiana Hoosiers tonight.
He's got 3 on the season. He only had 5 last year. So in 2 games, he's better than halfway past that number from last year. More of an assist guy last year with 7.
So here's Gasper. You can hear the crew still chanting. I believe that they will win. They've got some work to do now, though, with the score tied at 2. There was overtime last year, finished in 1-1, and overtime 2 years ago in front of that record crowd with Sebastian Elney winning it in minute 96. Tsubasa Endo, a perfect pass to Elney. Certainly plenty of time, so not necessarily overtime, but these teams have gone that route several times.
Dean, compare the two halves we've watched tonight. First half, battle between the top of the 18, and a total of 7 shots between the two teams. Second half, we've had 17 shots and 4 goals scored. It is a tale of two halves.
Yeah, we felt it was coming, though, right? We felt like when the coaches, they're such great coaches, they got those teams together.
Positively.
Yep.
And credit both teams, too. Coaches can't step on the field after a goal is scored and reconfigure and evaluate and assess everybody. These players have had to figure it out on their own. And after each goal, the opposing team has figured out how to respond.
It's going to roll all the way out of bounds. Standing room only. You know it's going to be that way when you got 7,532, the 4th largest crowd ever here at Ludwig Field. And Chris Dorn, you're right, they've been treated to a fantastic second half. All 4 goals coming in this second stanza. Campbell was flying up and down that right side in the first half with the throw-in. Rosansky will change it. That's Zelovics. Got a goal. Here's Gasper. Gasper first time. Will fall to Rosansky. Rosansky, great cutback, left foot. That looked like a handball off of Powell. Fans thought so too. Rosansky's not complaining though.
Rosansky's so quick with the cut, lets that ball go, and yeah, Powell's got his elbow tucked to his hip. That whistle is not going to be heard.
Another change here is you'll see Kike Paleo come back in, the junior from Miami.
Hoping to get Paleo to get isolated with another defender, with a defender, I should say, go 1v1 and beat that player. Here's that Rosansky cut. Now the shot. Powell turns. Elbow is, well, it's maybe inside upper chest. Great catch by our crew. That is close.
St. Clair. Back to Bergman. The head. Wild is in. Wild could not get his body all the way around it to get that left foot on frame.
Boy, what a physical specimen he is when he goes down like that. We've seen it time and again. He gets back up as if he's ready to go again.
Score tied at 2. Taken away by Campbell. He'll tuck inside. Campbell pushing forward. Picked up by Williamson. Williamson got a short break, came right back on. Had the assist on that second goal to give him the 2-1 lead. Answered, though, by Brian Alaski with a world-class free kick. More changes here for UCLA. Alex Knox back in, the sophomore transfer from Wake Forest, who, of course, Wake Forest made it all the way to the College Cup championship game a year ago before losing to Jeremy Gunn and Stanford, who has won back-to-back College Cups without scoring a goal in the championship game of either one of them. Sadu. Gasper turning back to Wild. Bergman. Over to Gasper. Gasper, nifty move coming forward. Tried to do it again. Gasper going against his former team. 3 years with UCLA. Back across again. Gasper transferring back as his illness in his family, one of the reasons he wanted to come back. He was heavily recruited by Maryland from the area, thought he was going to be a Terp before deciding to go to UCLA. And here's the thing, no matter where you are in the country, East Coast or West Coast, you look at both those teams, you know, mix in Indiana as well, but you're looking at those two teams.
You've got a great academic experience, and you've got a great athletic experience waiting for you no matter which way you go. Maybe a little more sunshine on the West Coast.
I'd say Bergman is every bit as good as Sasho Soroski told us he was as well.
He certainly is solid. He was nationally recruited, headed to college.
Mentioned Damon Rensing, the head coach at Michigan State, to Martin Stadium, their first game under the lights, and Michigan State with a 1-0 victory. I'll tell you about a team that if they get a goal that knows how to hold a lead. I'm not sure if there's a better team at that than Michigan State under Damon Rensing. They've got lights now at Martin, though, and their first game under the lights, they get a win. Congratulations to the Spartans.
They were certainly excited about that. It was a long time coming. The Saturday afternoons, though, I have to say, in East Lansing, or Sunday afternoons in East Lansing, have been awfully pretty. But the excitement and the establishment of a new student supporters section in East Lansing at DeMartin Stadium, plus the lights, you've got another location in the conference where there's great energy for soccer.
We'll have the Big Bear game, Michigan at Michigan State. It won't be under the lights, but that is always a good one, seen here on the Big Ten Network. Always a staple of BTN programming, Michigan and Michigan State. Looking forward to that one. And we might be looking forward to some overtime soccer here. 2 minutes and change left. The Bruins going to try to win it on the road, down near the end line, back across. St. Clair stays put. Campbell probably had more time than he realized. It'll be a corner kick, though, for UCLA. They've got a goal off a corner kick, a goal off a free kick, and Brian Olaski can serve a pretty good ball.
Avoid the issues that happened the first time UCLA scored. Maryland's got to get this ball up and out as quickly as they can. Don't let it drop.
Olaski. Back in, right to St. Clair. A little surprised they went with that play. Now let's see if Maryland can push forward here in the final 80 seconds of regulation. Off the head of Powell, and Powell goes down. Powell's featured prominently, called for that handball earlier. This is a good ball, though, for UCLA on the attack. UCLA in transition. It's Campbell gets back. Rosansky in support, trying to slow down Palaio. Eric Olaski. Palaio. Hard tackle from Williamson, but a clean one. Maryland, they've got time here. 45 seconds. UCLA, both teams laying everything out here at the moment.
Boy, this is Palaio trying to get through traffic. He breaks through two defenders and then holds his knee after suffering that tackle. Still stretching it out. Gets a little bump of inspiration from Dane St. Clair, the goalkeeper from Maryland.
So Pines is going to come forward to take the throw in.
You want it as deep as you can possibly get it with just the 36 seconds on the clock, Dean. Pines has got to drop back and cover defensively. You'd almost expect, a la Indiana, that a big guy like Donovan Pines be the target for a slip head at the top of the 18 with a long throw.
Pines looking for a wild, cleared out of there by UCLA, and now the clock winding down with overtime soccer looming here again. We mentioned last 2 years they went to overtime. Cleared out of there by Eric Holt. Back again for Maryland, pinging around, and Chris Doran, 90 minutes, not enough. Tied at zeros after 45, but 4 goals here in the second half, making this one live up to the billing as one of the best rivalries in men's college soccer.
This is a little bit more of what we were expecting, Dean, this second half of soccer. A little more wide open, a little more risk-taking from both teams, and certainly a lot more chances. And chances finished on some errors, on some great set pieces, and some great individual work on those set pieces. Very exciting second 45 minutes of play.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back for overtime soccer with 7,532 at Ludwig, and all of you watching on BTN. We've got more with the score tied at 2s. 4 goals in the second half between UCLA and Maryland, forcing overtime.
Gordon Wild, 56th minute after a handball called in the box. He gets Maryland up 1-0. 68th minute. It was a flurry after a restart in front of the Maryland goal. The crossbar saves one, but the goalkeeper can't stop. Eric Holt does a great job of getting UCLA on the board. 4 minutes later, time for a response, this time from the home team. Long throw. Jumping back into the game is Williamson, who puts that ball outside, and a terrific finish by Matt Salovic, and the home team is up 2-1. UCLA is a quality program. They know how to answer, and they do so on a set piece. Brian Olaski from about 20 yards out, near post left foot. The celebration by Asadu, because he was the one who caused the, or suffered the foul, I should say, to allow for the restart to happen.
You see the goal summary there. Wild and Holt and Metzelovic, and then Olaski, and it beckons that great game 2 years ago right here that was forced into overtime in front of the record crowd. And let's flash back to that incredible moment 2 years ago on the Big Ten Network. Subaso Endo got it going.
He's playing professionally now, but boy, he was important in the midfield, especially for service like this. And you had the pleasure of being a part of this finish.
Straight to the crew for the freshman Elney. As we mentioned, that will actually collapse right on Fox Soccer Channel out at the Stub Hub, by the way, where Rodney Wallace scored in overtime after zeros to walk away with the win there. It's been some epic battles between these two teams.
And most of the time you see this sort of thing in the postseason, but it just happens that there are programs that have these wonderful rivalries that generate such an atmosphere and energy in the regular season, and this certainly is one of them.
So here we go, overtime, folks, and here's the deal. Golden goal, sudden death, any way you look at it, you score, you win. That's what Elney did in the 96th minute. They'll play 10 minutes, hoping to find that goal. If they don't, it'll go in the books as a 2-2 tie. Bergman, long ball, one bounce. Safety first, throw in for Maryland. Campbell stuck with it, now wearing the captain's armband. And Wild, good job to turn it. He'll earn a corner kick, I do believe, for the Maryland Terrapins. And Chris, I do believe that, understandably, none of those 7,500 plus have left Ludwig Field.
You wouldn't want to. You know, this battle is poised for an epic finish.
Looks like Wild's going to take the corner with that great left foot. Driven in near post, loose. Still bouncing around and finally cleaned up there by Silva, as it looked like Reeves was going to end it, making that great run near post.
Boy, credit Silva, does a really nice job of confidently coming out and smothering that ball after Maryland had it popping around in the popcorn popper just a bit.
Sadu calling to get it back. Pines, you said it, Chris Dorn, he's so hard to knock off the ball. Olaski keeping it. Good ball back. UCLA into the 18 and picked off by Campbell. Olaski again has it. Dropped back. Sadu to Olaski. Talk about playing in tight spaces. Finally cleared out of there. Pines had enough of that.
Maryland's defense did a really nice job of collapsing there. UCLA couldn't get creative getting out of the gap, or finding a gap, I should say.
A lot of that combo was Brian Olaski and Eric Olaski. Number 14 and number 10. There's the sub Paleo with Campbell. Converted to a right back. That was out of bounds, and they'll get the whistle. Massive crowd here. We can tell you that 3,500 plus were at DeMartin for that Michigan State win. Michigan Wolverines, by the way, they're also winners, 3-1 over Cleveland State.
At the half, Indiana leads San Francisco 2-1. San Francisco, of course, fell to UCLA in the first match of the Bruins' 2017 regular season.
Reeves will lose it. Santoyo pushing forward to Sadu. Good job by Bergman to pick his pocket. Just a little late there was Wild. But I think in the meantime, Reeves was taken down. They played the continuation for a little bit as the Holt comes in on Reeves.
It looked like Reeves was actually going down before Holt got there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
UCLA a little more willing in this match to make it physical. Save for maybe Rosansky and Sadich. But I think Maryland has done a really nice job of responding to that. Certainly their composure is clean. And the opportunities that have come from maybe a little bit of the irresponsible physical contact on the part of UCLA have been dangerous for Maryland.
Long ball driven in, pushed away, and not able to get to it was Elney. So now UCLA and Silva. Started again.
A lot of people look at this and they say, well, what's the benefit of playing short ball out of the back? Well, you've got possession guaranteed in this situation, and you force your players to build out of the back. You stretch out your opponent, and then as you transition through the midfield, maybe the speed of your ball movement and possession picks up, the tempo picks up, and you start to advance into the attacking third, not having to face 6 or 7 players, but maybe 3 or 4.
Turnover, Olaski. He has Herrera in front of him, and stepping up just in the nick of time, as always, Johannes Bergman. He's got 3 years of eligibility from Germany, Bergman does. Sasho Soroski going to make another change as Eric Medzelovic hoping to get in.
Eric Olaski appealing for the yellow card. after being held back on his run. That's Elney reaching in. I think Eric's got a good point.
Eric Olaski, a lot taller than his older brother, Brian Olaski. So you mentioned all three Olaskis have been featured here today. Milan Olaski also looked good off the bench wearing that number 7. Sadu wanted to get it back. He did. Tough ball for Olaski to handle. There's Elney dancing. Elney taken down hard. They'll play advantage. And I think Holt's going to get a yellow card. Are they going to bring it all the way back there, though? We'll see. Holt gets the yellow card. Knew he was going to get a yellow card right when it happened.
Here's Elney on the breakout. Holt goes all player on that. Advantage was allowed, but the referee dutifully noted the player he had to card, and on the next stoppage did so.
So the card was issued, but meantime there was a foul called against Maryland. Took time to just issue the card here with 3 minutes and 20-some seconds remaining here in the first overtime. All 4 goals coming in the second half. Trying to find the youngster Olaski. Paleo. Pines. Paleo staying with it. Still loose. Pines finally clears it. Here's Sadich. He'll turn. Maryland going the other way. Under 3 minutes remaining. Gordon Wild. Wild loves to tuck in and fire that left-footed shot. Looks like he was taken down by a Sadu. It'll fall here to Sadich. Switched over to Reeves. Reeves running downhill. Trying to cross it. Cleared out by Holt. What a ball. Elney's in. Elney has won it again.
I'll have to see the replay again to understand what Jorge Salcedo might be upset about. But of the 7,000 plus in the stands tonight who are Terrapin fans, they can't believe what they just saw. That could be the pass of the week. Normally you're looking for a highlight that's a goal. The pass that's delivered by Rosansky to Elney shows so much quality of vision. It's a complete switch to the other side of the field, and Elney is all by himself.
All game long, we showed the flashback in front of the record crowd 2 years ago with Sebastian Elney winning it over Jorge Salcedo's UCLA Bruins. As you see Sasho Soroski there talking to Jorge Salcedo, and Elney went right back to that same spot. This time he didn't climb all the way into the stands with the crew. Shirt was off again. A fantastic moment celebrating 10 years on the Big Ten Network that we flash back to, and it looks pretty similar.
He gets his first goal of the year in such fine style.
so poised in an opportunity to put this game away.